Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. I'm working with UV resin today, and we are making these little pendants. And I'm using Iron Orchid Designs Cameo, and I'm doing the little bird. And I'm going to do this one a little different. I think I'm going to do the bird in blue. I really wanted to do a silver one of these to show you, but I don't have a silver one of these to do it in. I've got this shape, but the bird won't fit in that. I tried already. It's too big. Barely. Just a little too big. Anyway, these are called, I'm going to screw up how you say it, Bezels. B-E-Z-E-L-S. And they're designed to fill with resin. But to start, I'm going to use regular resin, the 2-part amazing resin. And I'm going to paint in some mica powder first. And it's going to be fun because I'm used to doing bigger batches of things. I've never done really teeny tiny batches, but just in case, let's make the inside, because I know I'll have extra resin. It's hard to make. That's one nice thing about using this UV resin is you're not mixing anything, so you can just use what you use and that's it. It is more expensive than the amazing casting resin. I don't remember. I think it was like, this size was, I want to say $17, but I wanted to get the bigger ones. They do have them in smaller sizes, but I did want the bigger size because I knew I wanted to play with it. So I'm just going to do a little tiny batch of this. Just enough to do the bird and this little guy. And the reason why I'm not using the UV resin for this part of it is because it is see-through and it didn't come out as clear as I wanted it to, being that the background is clear. With the white, because the amazing casting resin dries white, it gives it a little bit more depth. So that's the only reason why. Also, because it's UV activated, the darker molds, it's harder for the light to get through and help set it up. Now I've read that you can get this mixed up. I can't stir and think at the same time. You can put this outside in the sunlight. And even though I've got sun today, it's not that bright, and I'm not sure how long it would take. It's Oregon, it's winter time. It's not going to be the best. So I have other videos on how to do the UV or the regular resin on my YouTube channel. So if you want to know more about that, I suggest, and I'll link it also, so you can watch that. Once you get this resin down, it's really nice because it's kind of instant gratification. It takes about 10 minutes depending on temperature. Don't do it in the sun because it'll set up too fast. I did that once. I turned rock hard really fast. So I'm got extra, so I'm just gonna drop it in because you might as well. Let's see. Let's do this little guy over here too. So you want a toothpick sometimes for this so that you can make sure that, especially on this little bird, so that everything gets in the corners. Okay, so now we just need to wait and let these harden up, and we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so I decided I had to do a silver one. So I because of the size of this and the bird not working in my silver, I decided to use this little flower here, which should mostly work. And this is Moldings 2. And they have these little flowers. There's these little flowers. There's this little flower. And just to show you, I had extra, so I went ahead and poured. So let's pop these out. Scoot those aside. That's the, I got a little carried away with the powder, but that turned out kind of cute too. So let's pop our bird. Set that aside. And I did 2 of these flowers because I wasn't sure which color I would like with the silver. I think this is the one I'm going to like with the silver. That looks like it'll be cute. Okay. So, the things you will need to do the UV resin is, like I said, you could do it in the sunlight from what I hear. It's going to take longer. And so if you have one of these lights, and you can use an LED or UV light, and these are for gel nails, and they're pretty easy to come by, but they also, I think, are available now at craft stores, and they're not super expensive. This was, I think, $16. So, but read the wattage, because it tells you what they want as far as the wattage on these. So they say to do it on a silicone mat. So I was doing this inside the house, and I didn't have my mat in there. So what I did is I used the trowels here from Iron Orchid, and I just did it like that. I used both so that, since they're angled, that kind of kept it flat, and it worked just fine. The nice thing is it just, anything extra just kind of peels off. This was an extra little piece. I don't know if you can see that. It just peels right off. But I'm going to go ahead and just do it on my mat this time, because I'm also going to do 2 of them. Let's set that aside. Also, if you get any little extra, like if you go over your mold and you got little extras, just take your fingernail and just scrape it, or you can take a fingernail file and just scrape it off. So we start by putting the first layer in there. That's actually kind of, my mat's wobbly, so I am going to do it this way, except I'm going to use the big one. That way I can do both of them at the same time. You just do it so you can see it. Just squeeze your first layer in, and we want the first one to be kind of thin. On this one that I did, the bird is actually kind of coming out of it's taller, and that's okay. It's fine. It gives you the same desired effect, basically. I'm going to use a toothpick. It keeps moving on me. Trying not to have my hands in here so you can see, but I need to stabilize it a little bit. I know there's some tape also. I've seen videos where they've used tape on the back of these, and I don't know if it's a special kind of tape. I'll have to go back and do some research there, but you definitely want it in every corner. Okay, I think that one's good. Do the next one. And it is kind of self-leveling. If you just, if you don't mind just waiting a few minutes and giving it the chance to do its thing. Oh, I moved it again. Okay, I think I got it in all the corners. So you don't want to be super close. You need to be kind of up. So just using the natural curve here isn't good enough. Oh, let's see. Let's get 2 Dixie cups here. Let's see if this will do it. And I'm gonna turn it on. And this has got, mine has got a 60-second timer. So you hit the button, it holds it for 60 seconds. I'm hoping I'm getting both of them. And it's just a matter of waiting. Now, the way you tell if it's done is if it's sticky, it's not done. If it's still got a tackiness to it. And it sometimes needs to be cured on the front and the back side. So when I did this one, I did the front side for 2 minutes, and then I flipped it and I did the other side for a minute. So it does take a little bit of time, but overall curing time is probably maybe 10 minutes because we're building it up kind of thick. And you can kind of see that there's a little bit of cracking in there. And that tells me that my thing was too close. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to kind of hold it up here. If it gets a little bit of cracking, that tells you that it's curing too fast. That being said, in what we're doing, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to see it. But you don't want to do it then on the top layers. It's just a matter of waiting. I'm going to see if it's, yeah, it's still tacky. I'm going to do it this way actually. I'm not sure that both of them were getting cured at the same rate there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and lift that. And you can see that it's got some funkiness. And it's also not completely cured on that side. So I'm going to just scoot those aside. And I'm going to have them face up. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back side now. And then once we get this done, then the fun really begins. You can get these also at the nail stores like Sally's, and you can get them on Amazon. I bought mine so long ago. I've had this one probably 8 years, I want to say, and it still hasn't, it's still working great. And I do my nails once a week. Once every 2 weeks, somewhere in there. So they last. I like the LED ones better. They're faster than just the UV. And it's helpful if you do get a timer. Okay, so that's still a little tacky. And you can see that there's, because I moved it around, there's like a little bit that went over the metal. Once it's completely cured, you can just knock this off. You can see it's moving already, but I don't want to mess with it until it's completely cured. Yeah, both sides are still kind of tacky. So now I'm going to go down a little closer and see. You can, the important thing is you start it out up here, a little bit a ways from the resin, and then you can slowly start moving it down. I didn't know when I did this that you weren't supposed to be really close, and I did do it just like I'm doing now, and except for a little bit of that cracking on the back, I didn't have any problems whatsoever. Even on the front, there isn't any cracking. I don't know if you can tell there. I'd sing for you, but you wouldn't want to hear me singing. You'd pay me to stop. Okay, that's definitely better. That side could still use a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to use this one and my bird. And on the this one, I'm going to use silver because I was dying to do a silver one. And I'm going to use silver lining sprinkles to add a little bit. And then on the gold, this I'm using this dress is glitter tinsel from Christmas. And it came out with a fun Christmas package this year with this and some way cool other paints and sprays, and I still haven't had a lot of time to work with them, but the colors were great. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and put my bird right there. Actually, got a little bit of, I want my bird to make sure that the lines are defined once it's in there. Just pull those and put him in there. And then the flower on that side. This one's going to take up quite a bit of room, so it's going to use a lot less resin. So I'm going to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to get it in there. Just kind of squeeze it around it. It's okay if you knock your piece around a little bit because you can take your toothpick and get it back in place. This one, because the flower's taking up so much room, it'll be interesting because I still think I can do it in two separate pours as opposed to one. We'll give it a try. And there's an air bubble here, so that's another reason why you want to kind of poke it around with a toothpick. The other thing you can do if you have, you can use a lighter, or you can use one of those cooking torches, and you can just kind of heat it up real quick, and that helps also get the bubbles out. Okay, let's get our bird back to where we want it. Okay, now I'm just gonna go ahead and set that. Well, maybe I'll set a little higher. What can I set it on? My piece. Grab a couple things here. I'll just get it up a little higher, and then I'm going to cure it. Okay, so I let that cure 3 times. I did 2 times on the top, flipped them over, and 1 time on the back side. Also, I wanted to mention, because I didn't put any colorant into the resin itself, the back side of my bird is white. If you don't want your the back side of whatever to be white, you can always add some of the mica powders or any of the colorants to the resin itself, and that will then color the resin throughout. So I'm going to take some silver. I'm just going to kind of tap that through. And this isn't going to show up quite as well because there's just not as much room on this one as this one, because on this one I actually did it all around the bird. Let me see if I can kind of take my paintbrush, kind of scoot that to the edges. Definitely 2 different effects. The idea is to, you know, play with it, see what you like and what you don't like. And on the other one, let's get the gold out. Look at that gold. Isn't that pretty? I love glittery things. Just tap it in. Looks pretty good. All right. Let's put on the cap so I don't knock it over, have glitter everywhere. All right. Then like I said, if you go over a little bit, it'll scrape off once it's completely cured. And once you get it started, even if it's just a little bit tacky, just leave it someplace where, you know, the sun can come in, put it in a window or something. It'll finish curing. Yeah, my bird's above board again. Looks like I got a little bit of a bubble there, or a little gap. All right, get the toothpick, make sure your stuff's where you want it to be. And with the bird, because it goes clear to the edge, you want to make sure that you get the resin in these little areas. I'm just kind of poking it, making sure that there's no air bubbles, and I think we're good to go. This one's kind of domed, and it's looking really cool. I don't think it's anything that's going to show up if I show you. Let's see. I'm going to raise this again just a little bit. Okay, I cured it 2 more times on the top, and then I flipped them 1 more time on the back, and they're feeling pretty good. So they turned out pretty cute. I like the fact that this one domed a little bit. It kind of adds a little bit. And like I said, you can scrape off the part that with your nail, and it'll come off the overrun of it. So I don't have the right color gold for a necklace, but the blue kind of goes with that. So I thought I would you could put it like that. I was thinking it might be kind of cute to put an extra, if I could open this jump ring. It doesn't want to open. Being stubborn. Oh, that's not going to work because, will it work? No. So the thing, because it's going this way, once I close this, my O-ring's going to go that way. So that's not going to work. So we'll just put it right onto the necklace or the chain. And the holes on these are big enough, you can just run a chain right through it. I'll show you with the silver one. Just thought it'd be fun to add a little extra something, but I guess not today. And the silver one, I've just got this beaded, it kind of reminds me of key rings. And I'm going to have to get the closures, the right kind of closures for this. I don't currently have that. But you can do like any chain. You know, if you go to secondhand stores, you can always pick up necklaces that are really, really ugly, but they've got cool chains. And that way you can use it for making whatever. If you have any questions about the products that I've used, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye.